I'm next? Oh, good. I really wanted to tell my story quickly. This village seems peaceful, but in reality, there are all sorts of stories here. But by far the best is the story of Hinaki-chan. You see, there is some strange privately owned land around here. There's no building on it, nor a parking lot. It's just empty. But somebody does own it, although the weeds and such have been left to grow wild there. There are some children who always go to play there, however. But I wonder why it was left empty. If it were up to me, I'd build a large house there. After all, that plot of land really is large. Some rumors say that a certain Zaibatsu owns it, or that somebody died there and they can't sell it. But nobody knows the truth. But there's one thing that all the rumors about that privately owned land have in common. They all say that a girl named Hinaki-chan appears there. That might be a rude way of putting it, but nobody knows where she's from. Hinaki-chan is a cute girl around high school age, but she's no ordinary girl. Apparently, she always wears a bright blue school uniform. A blue ribbon, a blue skirt, and a blue lapel. Nobody wears a uniform like that, right? But apparently it really suits her. And so, this girl can be found right there in the middle of the empty lot. Gosh, gives me chills. A cute girl in her blue school uniform, and her soft black hair comes down to her shoulders. On that note, after hearing this story, does it make you want to go and check it out for yourself? No. Really? Then you'll be fine, Yoko-chan. If you wanted to, then I was worried about what we should do. But there are numerous curious people out there. Although that's to be expected, I guess. Tetsuo-san, don't throw your arms up like that. Yes, I know. After hearing this story, you mustn't go see her. That's the one thing I want you to take away from this. If you do, well, I don't know what will happen to you. It's true. Look, I'm about to tell you the story of what happened to the last dark child who went to see her, so listen closely. It's the story of Nakazawa-kun, who was in the same class as Ryofu 1 year ago. Nakazawa-kun was in the 4th grade at the time. He had a big friend and a small friend. His big friend was his school backpack, and his small friend was the keychain on that backpack. It's a little weird, right? But there was a reason for that. His big friend was bought brand new when he got good grades at school. And before that, he always had to use the hand-me-downs he got from his older brother. Apparently, hanging a keychain from the strong belt on his new backpack was something he especially enjoyed. That small friend hanging on his backpack was a keychain in the shape of an animal. You see, Nakazawa-kun often changed schools when his father had to move around for work. That animal keychain was something he'd gotten from a friend at his previous school, and because they were good friends, it was very precious to him. Apparently, he wasn't in contact with that friend for a while. Meaning, Nakazawa-kun wasn't yet familiar with his new school. When he called his previous friend, they didn't ask how things were going now, and he no doubt didn't like that. Look, there are a lot of students who don't stand out, right? They're quiet and get decent grades, and Nakazawa-kun was one of those students. It wasn't like he was a dislikable kid, but when you're a transfer student, those first few weeks are crucial, you know? If you don't take the opportunities to become friends with everyone, then you'll always be alone at that school. That's what they say, right? That Nakazawa-kun was always alone. Every day after school he went straight home. Even though the other kids were having fun and chatting in class, Nakazawa-kun was always quiet and always went home alone. Maybe he thought this place wasn't very fun. And then one day, on his way home from school, Nakazawa-kun ran into Hinaki-chan. It all started with that small friend, his keychain, that suddenly fell off his bag and into that private lot. He entered that land. The grass hadn't been mowed and grew wildly, and because his keychain was somewhere in there, he struggled to find it. Where on earth did it go? As he was looking, he heard a beautiful nursery rhyme coming from somewhere. The lyrics went something like, "Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, let's play with that child." It was a strange song. "The day after tomorrow we won't play, because they'll be gone," it continued. It was a girl in a blue uniform singing it. Hinaki-chan. She was playing cat's cradle by herself. Nakazawa-kun glanced sidelong at her as he looked for his keychain, but he just couldn't find it. She continued singing the entire time. Whenever she hit the part about "they'll be gone," then she changed the shape of the strings she was playing with. "They'll be gone, they'll be gone, they'll be gone." The song echoed throughout the field. But why was a high school girl singing such a song? Children understand that you can have fun singing a strange song. Before long, Hinaki-chan stopped singing. If someone suddenly stops singing, then you get curious, right? Like, did she stop because of me? That was what Nakazawa-kun thought. He looked up before he could stop himself and exchanged glances with Hinaki-chan. She grinned at him. Oh, it gives me chills. She might have been cute, but that look was frightening. But Nakazawa-kun lifted the edges of his lips, trying to return the smile. Then, still smiling, Hinaki-chan shifted her gaze to the side. He followed her gaze, and there was a small cat there. Hinaki-chan walked over to it and started patting its head. Hey, on that note, do you like cats? No. Oh my! But cats are adorable! I love them. People often go on walks with their dogs and cats, right? And whenever I see them, I have to pet them. I'm weak to that. They're so cute. But you're different, huh? Cats often appear in scary stories, but it's okay. This isn't a story about a bakeneko. Seeing Hinaki-chan petting the cat, Nakazawa-kun grew afraid and ran away. But then he heard a voice coming from behind him. "Nakazawa-kun, where are you going?" Hinaki-chan was staring at him, her head slightly tilted in confusion. I never told her my name. For a moment, he stood there in shock. "Look," Hinaki-chan said as she approached him. Nakazawa-kun was unable to move as she grinned and held her arms out. In her hand, she held his little friend. The animal keychain swayed in the air. Thank you." With a trembling hand, he tried to take it, but Hinaki-chan quickly pulled her hand back. "Do you like these sorts of things?" she asked. "The day after tomorrow, I can't play with that child." Again, she started singing a strange song. "Because they'll be gone." Regardless of how beautiful her voice was, he couldn't keep listening to it. Nakazawa-kun ran without taking the keychain with him. But even as he put some distance between them, it felt like he could still hear her song lingering in his ears. The next day, Nakazawa-kun dragged himself to school. After all, he had to pass by that plot of land. He must have been so nervous. I should just run right past it. But there was nothing there but the wind. And he never ran into Hinaki-chan again after that. He wasn't able to get his keychain back. But then one day, something started talking to him inside his head. Hey. It was a strange voice, like a violin being played clumsily. If ghosts could speak, that was probably what they sounded like. Hinaki-chan? He said before he could stop himself. The voice didn't answer him. Instead, it said something else. Hey, how long do you plan on living for? How long? I want to live forever. Huh? Why? Are you really enjoying life that much? It's not like that. The voice inside his head then fell silent. Hey, have you ever thought about ending things? It becomes a bad habit when you do. Like, what happens after death? How will the people left behind feel, etc.? But it's all just conjecture. There's no point thinking about it. And if you keep thinking about it, then sometimes you might actually want to do it. Hey, Nakazawa-kun, why don't you try hanging like your keychain? It'll probably be fun. Every now and then, he heard a voice in his head like that. But he couldn't talk to anyone about it. Not even his parents. That's perfectly understandable. After all, if he did, they'd treat him strangely after that. That was why he couldn't even talk to the friend who gave him the keychain as well. He couldn't even tell them he'd lost it. I wish it would talk about something nicer, he thought as he looked at the backpack, now missing his little friend, the keychain. As always, he was still alone at school, and each day was as boring as the last. That was why he found himself getting excited when he heard that voice in his head, as it was something different, although it wasn't very good for his heart. "Hey, Nakazawa-kun, let's become just like that keychain." "Why do you say such things? I don't want to do that." "But how long do you intend to keep going on like this? Day after day. It all seems so boring." "You're so mean." He gave a bitter smile. "I only say it because I'm worried about you. I think it's better than all those people who ignore you." This couldn't continue. But even having thought that, he couldn't find a way to solve this problem. But then one day, unable to hold it in any longer, he called his friend who gave him the keychain. But that number said it was no longer in use. There really was nobody left he could talk to. Nakazawa-kun keenly felt how alone he was. "Nakazawa-kun, it's time." That voice echoed in his head. "Hey, Hinaki-chan, why do you want me to die?" he asked, his voice teary. Then that echoing voice told him something. "I'm not Hinaki-chan." Eh? "You tried calling my house but couldn't get through, right? My family had an accident and we all died." "What?" "Hey, Nakazawa-kun, let's do it. Then we can be friends on the other side." That voice inside his head was the friend who gave him the keychain. It's hard to imagine an old friend would say such things, right? But supposing a natural disaster happened right now, you might die, right? And if that happens, it doesn't mean everyone here will carry on like normal, right? Some might lash out, and others might undoubtedly panic. I'm sure I'd run around in a panic too. Death truly does possess the power to change a person. Sorry, we got off track there. They found Nakazawa-kun the next day at that private plot of land, hanging there like a keychain. Next to him stood a girl in a blue school uniform. It was Hinaki-chan. "So, you do like these sorts of things," she muttered by his side. On that note, this might be a little persistent of me, but I'd like to remind you one more time. You mustn't go looking for that land where Hinaki-chan is. Well, having heard that story, I can't imagine anyone would want to. Well, of course I won't. That's right. Hinaki-chan is a cute girl, but we can't say she isn't scary either. Thank goodness you said you wouldn't go. Tetsuo-san? You're okay. You can go wherever you like. With that strong body, I'm sure you won't die. Phew. All that talking made me tired. It's about time to hear the next story. So, who's up next?